We're late again because of me. We are being recorded, folks, just as a editorial comment. Thank you to everybody for Zooming in. We're going to get started, but before we do, I want to introduce everyone to a gentleman that a few of us met with virtually last month. He is working on a project to assist those with TBI, caregivers of our military community, and probably it will eventually roll out to the older and more forgetful citizens like me in this technology that I can't remember, Rachel, from 1 month to the next on how to get audio on this puppy. But Colonel Michael Malone, and I'm going to give you the floor for a couple of minutes, sir, does have TBI, and he is working on a smartphone app. And he will brief us in full in a month or two. But Colonel, do you have a couple of minutes worth of comments as to where you are and just a brief summary of what you're doing, sir?
Sure, I would love to chat with you guys. It's good to get up early. Like since I retired, I decided to sleep in until 9, but you know, this meeting's, I'm on the West Coast. I suffered my second traumatic brain injury in 2017 and was treated at Walter Reed until 2020. I still go back to Walter Reed for treatment. That was a life-changing event. It ended my military career and you know, made every day more difficult, right? If you've suffered a TBI, depending on how it impacts you, for me, it impacts my ability to create memories, right? Not just have bad memory, but just inability to remember things whatsoever. So potentially I can recall yesterday, but for some reason, like I don't remember what happened last week. And I spent a lot of time at Walter Reed with occupational therapists. And they're like, download all these apps to manage your life. And I'm like, well, okay, I download all the apps, but one, I can't understand how to use them, which is upsetting because I used to be a smart guy. And two, there's like, I can't manage a dozen different things, right, to manage my life. And so I convinced my wife to let me have our life savings to start to create this app. We've been programming it for 2 years now, and I've been using interns to help me get to the end line. The app's based on the ability to choose templates to remember things that you want. Brian, can you give me sharing permissions for a second? I've dialed in on my cell phone so I could give a quick tutorial.
1 minute, sir. If you can, Tish, can you share what Colonel has?
I just made him the co-host.
So give him share privileges and put it up there, sir.
Oh, can you put it on my cell, Michael's cell? I'm in the bottom. Instead of me on my laptop, I need to throw it on the cell.
Let me find you. Hold on for 1 second.
All right. But well, I was at Walter Reed, like all my buddies have brain injuries. And so, you know, like I thought it was just my problem dealing with this, but it really turned out to be all of our problems. And unfortunately, you know, it makes things difficult for caregivers. Oh, I dropped out of the thing. Nah, well, I'll try to do it later. And so
save that, sir, for when you brief us in a longer version. This was just a snippet of who you are and what you're working on.
So caregivers struggle with people with TBI. Well, whenever you have a chronic health condition and you're the caregiver, the sole caregiver, it's very stressful. And so one of the other pieces of the app is to allow virtual caregiving. And so if my wife works part-time while she's gone, she can know whether or not, did I do the tasks on the list that she gave me? Am I safe at home? Did I make it to my appointments, right? And so instead of stressing about me forgetting to call her or not responding to my phone, she can know what's going on with me. And so that's really kind of the journey we want. We want to help anybody that has cognitive impairment and our caregivers. For those with chronic ailments and cognitive impairment, like I want to get back to where we have a little more freedom, a little more independence. And for caregivers, my wife says I drive her crazy, which is completely true. But like, how can we reduce the stress on the caregiver, right? And I don't think really too much is being done on technology to solve that particular problem. And unfortunately, that breaks relationships. I've seen a bunch of my buddies end up divorced because their spouse just cannot manage the stress of being a caregiver full time. And like, how do we break that cycle? And that's what I'm about. We're hoping to have build your own templates in the next 2 months, and then in 4 months to be beta testing caregiver. And then I'm about to, hopefully in the next 6 weeks, create a crowdfunding campaign where people can pre-buy the app, because my wife won't give me any more money to sink into the app, and so I'm running out of cash. And so we're gonna have a campaign where people can pre-purchase the app and help us get to the start line. And I think once we get to the start line and people start using the app, they'll really see how impactful it is. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. And you will be back for a more in-depth briefing in the coming few months. And some of that depends on your progress with the development. Thank you, sir. At this point, Roderick, make it quick, please. Roderick has an update. A few of you got a short suspense email from me. He has an announcement about Buffalo Rock hiring event. And those of you who have heard me talk about Buffalo Rock for 3 years, they are, in my judgment, the most well-known employer of Guard and Reserves to me. I'm not saying they are better than anybody else in the marketplace, but to Brian Crawford, I don't know of anybody who compares with Buffalo Rock as far as being Guard and Reserve friendly. Certainly they're veteran friendly as well. So is virtually every employer, but not every employer is Guard and Reserve friendly. Roderick, 2 minutes.
Don't need that long.
Up here, sir. Tell them who you are.
Roderick Royal with the State Department, the Alabama Department of Labor, Birmingham Career Center. You got a flyer from Bryant talking about the Buffalo Rock hiring fair on its site Saturday. Well, they also will be at the Birmingham Career Center tomorrow, and it's from 9 to 1. They're hiring on site. In fact, we got so many jobs, we don't know what to do with them. So I work with veterans, but if you know veterans, of course, send them there anytime. We'll work with them. The other thing is we also are hiring a DVOP. That's the Disabled Veteran Specialist person in the office. If you know a veteran with a college degree, whether or not we prefer the disability because that's the federal rule, but we can work them in if they don't have a disability. So that's on the 18th. So if you do know a veteran who has a college degree, that's the state requirement. You got to have a college degree, and we're hiring in the Birmingham office as well. So we're looking forward to that. All you have to do is have a college degree in anything, and of course, a lot of people think I have a college degree in anything, political science. So that's it.
Question. Sir? I apologize. Who do you work for?
The Department of Labor. That's the Birmingham Career Center. It used to be called the Employment Office. and they got fancy. So Birmingham Career Center.
Give them your contact info real quick.
It is 582-5219. 582-5219. And if you can't reach me, just have Brian, and he has everything, so we'll get it.
Yeah, he's taking shots for it right
What's the phone
Roderick,
number with area code?
say what?
now.
Phone number with area
Area
code?
code 205. With apologies, I did not blast that out to everyone. I got it late yesterday because I think, well, I got it from Buffalo Rock late yesterday. And being such short suspense, I targeted a few people, but Roderick himself is an Army veteran, career retired, and is at the Career Center on 6th Avenue South. Wonderful facility. Matter of fact, back before COVID, we met there a couple of 3 times. But thank you, Roderick.
Not retired. Not retired. Not retired.
Right, right. Okay, Jeff Hester, sir, you have something to tell us?
Joining on with you, and I should be on there now, okay? And the phone starts ringing as soon as I do that, okay? Great to be with you, Brian and group from the Birmingham Big. Just wanted to give you a brief update, and I'll tell you one of the main reasons I'm on as well too in just a minute. But of course, we're dealing a lot with COVID right now. We've had up to 110 employees off as of yesterday. 14 of them returned again today, so we've got 96 employees out. 68 of them being clinical. So you can imagine running a hospital when you're losing staff. And as we bring them back on, we're bringing on after the 5 days and making sure they're testing negative before we bring them back in to take care of patients and to be with other staff. Well, we definitely don't want it to spread or cluster, keeping a very tight rein on what's going on here. Most of these employees, or pretty much all of these employees, have been vaccinated. And we have a strong feeling most of them are not obtaining COVID within the facility, but out in their normal lives when they're not masking or with other individuals and doing some of the things they probably shouldn't be doing right now, the way that this Omicron is spreading. Right now, we have 22 patients in-house, 11 in intensive care units, 11 on other units. So that has heavily grown from 2 to 3 patients with COVID to the bigger numbers. So, but we're shifting some of our outpatient clinical staff to inpatient clinical staff, making sure they're competent in those areas before we transfer them over. But that is a very high priority for us now. We're updating some of our executive decision memos as far as masking, physical distancing, visitation policies. And I know sometimes that gets to veterans and their families when you start limiting access to the facility, except for those individuals getting care or maybe one caregiver. But we have to do what's best for the overall veteran population and for the staff here, but we can continue operating, taking care of those individuals. But really doing a good job here. We're making those shifts. And of course, the weather coming in Sunday scares us a little bit more because we're worried about now staff that is not with COVID getting here to take care of patients Sunday and doing that thing. So there's several things going on at once here, but just to let you know, we're doing a very good job here and we're making sure the patients are taken care of. And for those patients that don't need to come here, we are making sure we divert them to other levels of appropriate care for we can make sure that we're helping the veterans that we need to help in certain situations. So I think our staff's doing a great job here. But if y'all got any questions on COVID, you can go ahead and ask them now. If not, I'm gonna go on to 2 or 3 other things right quick as well.
Non mi ricordo, mi ho tolto le 4, no?
Oh, excuse me. State it again. Good. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on. We are opening a new clinic. I don't know if y'all have had the chance to see our new clinic. It's over at 7901 Crestwood Boulevard. That's right on the skirt of Birmingham and Irondale, but it is in the city of Birmingham. We will be doing a ribbon cutting for that on the 26th of this month. A few people are invited, not many. Of course, with the federal guidelines right now, we cannot have more than 50 people gather in one location for an event. Typically, these events draw 300, 400, 500. I do have Congressman Palmer. I have the Councilor Hunter Williams, the State Representative Neil Rafferty, President Pro Tem LaShondra Scales. Several of our politicians will be there to help us celebrate this new clinic, which will see about 25,000 of our veterans a year. It's a state-of-the-art of the facility, out about 64,000 square feet. 450 parking spots. If you've not had the chance to see it, it's right there before you get on I-20 in that area. Beautiful building. We've been working with the staff out there. We'll have about 200 staff out there. And really what we're calling it is the Birmingham East VA Clinic. You know, we have a big clinic here downtown, which is 50,000 square feet. This one's even going to be about 10,000, 12,000 feet bigger. And then have individual parking. Of course, down here, the clinic is attached to a huge parking deck, which I'm sure y'all have either been in that parking deck or seen it before. It's 2,334 spots. So, but looking forward to the clinic. Primarily the care out there will be mental health. So we will be taking care of most of our veterans' mental health needs at that clinic. We'll be offering a ton of new services, space. It will decompress the space in this building, which will allow us to continue to expand primary care here and specialty care in this facility downtown and then some of our other clinics as well. This will be the 10th clinic that Birmingham has in the northern 24 counties of Alabama. So really we have a footprint just about in every county, and we're trying to get care closer to veterans and making sure it's the most appropriate care at the right place at the right time. So any feedback y'all ever give us while we're on these groups, I see several of our other staff are on this call as well. Please make sure you relay that to them, for we can make sure we address the concerns of the veterans, because we love to listen to the voice of the veteran. That's how we make changes. We're trying to do it to improve it for you. So I was very honored to follow the Colonel this morning talking about his app and his TBI condition. Because those kind of individuals are why we're here, to make sure that we're able to provide that kind of care and to meet the needs of the veterans, whether it be at home, which in many cases right now, a lot of the care we're providing is virtual. And so the app that the Colonel was talking about is very appropriate, not only for TBI, but for a lot of the modalities of care.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, we need to move along, sir.
Okay.
Do you have a personal announcement to make?
I do, and that's
Before we leave the
where I'm
clinic,
going. This
let me
will
just
be
add-
my 18th clinic to open, and we've got a brand new director who just started here, Dr. Coy. He was going to be on today, but he is out of town, could not be on today. But I will be retiring at the end of this month. I have exactly 11 days left. Not that I'm counting, but I will open the clinic on the 26th, and then that Friday will be my last day here. I've loved working with the veterans. I started in '90 with a lot of our World War I veterans, and have truly worked through all the generations of veterans, which has been a big part of my life. So this group has also been a big part since Brian and group has started that. Wanted to let you know I would continue to give my support to this group in any way that I can, and the VA will still be here to support this group. So again, I'll be retiring after about 32 years here. So I've enjoyed working with the veterans, enjoyed working with our stakeholders such as yourself, and look forward to continuing to do that in various capacities as I retire, as many of you have already retired and doing the same thing. So
Jeff, will you introduce
that's
your
my big
replacement?
announcement, Brian.
Will you introduce your replacement, please, or introduce him next session?
Well, I won't be on the next session when you have it, but his name is going to be Shannon Aldridge. I will make sure that I get his email address to Brian. He will be coming from the Shreveport, Louisiana VA. It's a little bit smaller VA, but looking forward to him coming here. He's going to understand a lot of the same processes. and definitely has a strong history of working with veterans. He's been there 7 years, so he's originally from Alabama, still have children here in Alabama, and he's worked in Huntsville, Phoenix City, and in the Anniston area. So this will be his first time working in the Birmingham area, but should be a great asset to the veterans and the VA here. So
As an addendum, I went by that clinic yesterday. It's right at the intersection of I-20 and Montevallo Road, and it's accessible whether you're eastbound or westbound, right at Eastwood Mall.
correct. Yeah, and it's really a beautiful clinic. So hopefully, if you don't get to attend the ribbon cutting, look at it on Facebook. And we are opening the clinic for anybody to come out and take a tour of that afternoon from 10 till 2. We just can't have everybody at the ribbon cutting itself. So if you can't make it to the ribbon cutting, I think Brian was going to send a representative or two. Brian, if you let me know who they are, that would be great, because I'm sort of trying to keep a count on our numbers, and I'm trying to get a veteran to do the pledge that day too. So I would like to have maybe somebody from this group that could do the pledge for us during the program. So if you let me know who that might be, that would be perfect too. And thanks everybody. If I can ever help you, let me know. The VA really appreciates all the great work that you're doing.
Okay, if you have an interest in attending the open house that afternoon, please let me know. I will collect it ASAP and I will forward names to Jeff. Ron Becker had a question or a comment. Ron?
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Mr. Becker, good.
Glad to see you're well. Are you going to need a hospitality table at this event?
Voluntary service is working on that for me, Ron. So if you want to get with Charmel and group or either work with them, what we did at the one we recently opened in Oxford, we had individually wrapped items so we could make sure that people could
Sure.
self-serve and do that kind of thing. So yeah, but any support that we can get, that would be great. And I know she's working on purchasing some stuff, but I'm sure our guests would not turn down additional food.
Well, it would be better if it was free, wouldn't it? Take care.
It would be.
Thank you, Ron. Jeff, sir, it's been a pleasure working with you. I appreciate your support of me and all of CAVC over the last 3 years. Thank you very much. We'll miss you.
Yes, sir.
But you're welcome to stay among us. If you will just send me personal contact information, I'll keep you on the distro roster.
Okay, I've got you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Dave Burford has a few comments he would like and I would like for him to make. Sir, are you ready?
Yeah, just real quick. I got some feedback in the last couple of weeks about how this organization conducts business. And there was perhaps an opinion that some of what we do gets focused too frequently on the same agencies over and over. And I guess the only defense for that is that it's become easy. We have a couple of agencies that provide cash benefits to veterans we identify, or buy tires or fix cars. And frankly, we've become accustomed to that go-to avenue of communication. It behooves all of us, when you see something announced for a need or a shortcoming for a veteran, to jump in there and explain what your service might offer. While we have a lot of people on this call, we don't go down a list and try to match it as well as you could by speaking up and identifying something you could bring to the table and give this veteran. But you got to speak up. It's incumbent on all of us to do exactly that.
Hey, Dave, excuse me, this is Tom. Can I ask a question here?
Please.
Good to see everyone. And, that's a great comment, simply because the two organizations that I am honored to be the president of, Vets for Vets and Blue Star Salute Foundation, it's rare that we are contacted by another agency or somebody in this group, as an example, with the name of a veteran who is in help. And that's part of the mission of both of those organizations, is to help veterans in need. And we've done that, but it's generally by what we're hearing just on the side, or somebody said, hey, I know a veteran, but it's not through this group. And that's no criticism, it's more of an observation. So we certainly have funds on both those organizations. They're not unlimited. There is a bottom to the bucket, but there are funds available to help our veterans who are in need. We have a very simple process to make that work.
I think you're making my point. and that you can't stand by the phone and wait for it to ring.
Yeah.
You have services. You need to keep up on these phone calls, read the email thoroughly. And the last agenda that came out had a whole list of people in need, and speak up, call in and say, hey, I've got some housing available, or hey, I know where there's some used furniture this guy can have. We don't know that. And those who might have had housing available last week might not have it this week. We don't know that. You're the expert and the representative of your agencies, but I'm telling you, you got to get out of the chair and read and watch what's going on, because we cannot run down a list and try to put our finger on the right agency and call you. Well, that's what we've done in the past. And frankly, I go back to what I opened this with. Some of the agencies we've worked with is historically easy. We've gotten in the habit of that. I'd like to get out of the habit of that and distribute the ability to contribute across the board. But you're key to that. Does that seem unreasonable?
I would add virtually every need of which I become aware is announced in the newsletters. Generally, December was a little slow, but one went out Monday, one went out a week ago Monday. And the veterans and other members of the rest of the military community who need assistance are generally mentioned in those. One particular situation is over in Phoenix City, Columbus area. I did not include that one as a call for help, but Charlie Livings, the district or regional manager, director for still serving veterans, was apprised of the need for a ramp. And I reached out directly to him. I learned, this is interesting, I've got to do some research and we need to move along. But I learned yesterday that a very unlikely nonprofit helps veterans. When I say unlikely, it's because of the name, M4A. If you're familiar with M4A, you know what I'm talking about, but it is the Middle Alabama Area Council on Aging or something like that. So that doesn't necessarily fit a 40-something member of the service or veteran being eligible for assistance, but they are. I'm going to reach out to the executive director today and try to quantify information, but they supposedly have money. We need money. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your questions and comments. Dave, thank you, sir, so much for your input. Willie Hampton, apparently something happened. He's not here. Willie, are you on Zoom? No. Okay. Kristen Holder is program manager for regions 2 and 4. She's got a big geography to cover. Office of Apprenticeship, Alabama Department of Commerce. She's going to tell us what she and her colleagues around the state do. And Kristen, the floor is yours, ma'am, and Tish is going to support you with putting up your slides as needed.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian. Everyone can hear me at this moment? Yes, nods, always good. Good morning. My name is Kristen Holder. As Brian mentioned, I am the project manager for Alabama Office of Apprenticeship for this Birmingham region, and then also the Anniston, Oxford, Gadsden, Roanoke space over east side towards Georgia. And I'm one of about a 7-member team that is focused on developing and managing registered apprenticeship programs. Before I jump into this, first of all, I'm just honored to get to be in the presence of everybody. My father was on the subs back in the 70s. He was an officer from Annapolis. And so I've got a little bit of go Navy, beat Army. Just kidding. So I don't know who is on here, but I appreciate that. And I do want to speak specifically to Colonel Malone. I appreciate your honesty and the work that you're doing. I've just had some friends and colleagues, and I think it's very brave and courageous for you to speak on this and then also to be doing very active work. So I'll just say that up front. So who am I? So we are, a lot of you might be familiar potentially with the the idea of registered apprenticeship programs. So we originally, back in the 30s, there was a federal legislation that came out that was focused on mostly developing union apprenticeship programs. But since then, there's been a lot of modernization, non-union apprenticeship programs. And for our office specifically, it used to be that all of the states were run by the feds, so US Department of Labor apprenticeship programs. Well, just in the past, I guess 2 years at this point, and if you don't mind going to the next slide, we have become our own state apprenticeship agency. So that means that all apprenticeship programs are still registered with the DOL. They're still nationally recognized. It's just instead of potentially dealing with someone that lives in DC that manages, we have over 120 programs. You now have me as a face that lives in Irondale, which I was also going to say, I saw the VA clinic and it's gorgeous. So I actually live here and can give assistance here. So I wanted to kind of make that point just because apprenticeships has been pretty key a lot for our veteran population as well, but we really want to make sure that you know of us and what we help and provide so that veterans can be better plugged into the registered apprenticeship programs we have, not only in this region, but statewide. So this is just our mission statement, just so that you know, our purpose is everything from the initial exploratory conversations with employers to the actual development of apprenticeship programs to their compliance and technical assistance. So we don't have front facing with the actual applicants themselves. We focus mostly with our employers and our sponsors. However, we rely on organizations like in this room and others to help plug in different applicants into these different programs. We're focused on a diversity of talent pipelines, including the veteran population, along with others. Next slide, please. So I want to try to make sure I honor time. And one thing Brian said is give you enough to whet your appetite. And then if you have more questions, reach out to me. So beyond going into like, what is a registered apprenticeship program, all of those kind of logistics, I wanted to get down to the why would a veteran be interested in this at all. So this is my very simple slide of talking about just the benefits of registered apprenticeship. And I think the two of these different boxes go hand in hand, which is why I include both. So a registered apprenticeship program is an intentional training that includes both on-the-job learning, which is hands-on in the facility, in the shop, as well as related instruction or classroom work that can either be done at a community college, by a third-party provider, by an employer themselves. And the idea is as we combine both the on-the-job learning and the related instruction together, you have a more qualified candidate who is moving towards a mid-skill to high-skilled position that has the skills that they need to be successful. And a lot of our employers, and I'm sure you guys are not used to hearing this, there is a huge, they call labor shortage, and what we call it is a skills gap, because there are quite a few people that are looking for work, and yet they don't have the skills necessary to do the jobs that need to be filled. And so we see apprenticeships as an opportunity to do that. So if you mind to click back, I'm sorry for that slide. So I was gonna say that, when we're doing, looking at this program, we have the ability to, it allows our employers to look at retention, higher productivity, and really developing a talent pipeline. Because I tell employers very often the difference between your company and your same competitor in 5 years on what is going to be, in my opinion, successful is being able to train your own. Because we don't have senior technicians walking down the street anymore. We need to develop them. So that's the employer's benefit. For the apprentice, the main benefits, first of all, is an apprenticeship. For registered apprenticeships, there has to be a progressive wage. So that means that the apprentice would start at a certain wage determined by the employer, but as they develop skills, they're actually going to get a predetermined increase in wages. We've seen this to be very beneficial to our apprentices and a retention tool, because instead of going into a job and not knowing when your next raise is going to be, you've now been told, hey, if you stay here for this period of time and gain these skills, we'll give you a pay raise, which is incredibly beneficial, not just to most of our applicants, but veterans as well. It concludes at a national credential. It is a national completion certificate. So any registered apprenticeship program in the state of Alabama, they will potentially get credit at a college if the college is doing part of it. But regardless of who is actually managing the apprenticeship program, there's a national certificate. So if an apprentice completes an apprenticeship program, an electrician here, and moves to Michigan, they will have similar skill sets and be able to transfer them to jobs in that area. Another one is that career pathway piece. So as I mentioned, a lot of folks might have some skills or low skills or looking to change a job, what have you. This is a way that they can actually enter the pipeline and be trained without having crushing amount of debt by going into a college on their own, and with an intentionality of employment, which is what we say, apprentices are employees. They're not interns, they're not short-term. The employer needs to fill a need in one of their middle skill positions, and thus they build an apprenticeship program to do so. So that provides a higher quality of life for our applicants and really is a career pathway. The last thing that I want to talk specifically for the folks on the call is the GI benefits. So if you could switch to the next slide, please. This is really exciting and something that I believe, and maybe you're all familiar with, but something that I want to make sure you know. The GI Bill does provide housing assistance and different kinds of training reimbursement for veterans when it comes to going to a full-time school or college or work or what have you. What's really interesting about registered apprenticeship programs is that there's a combination of both on-the-job learning as well as the related instruction. And so there has been some conversation, well, if the veteran is only working part-time, so they're also going to school, would they still be able to take advantage of their housing allowance? The answer is yes. It as a full-time kind of position for that veteran, which is huge. And it means that this is a really good opportunity for the veteran to not only receive those benefits, but also, as I mentioned, receive wages in addition. So they're able to go to school, work, have a housing allowance, and get paid. In addition, you'll see that there's a stipend for books, and so that has a dollar amount per month, and that the benefits are actually retroactive. So if you have a veteran that enters a registered apprenticeship program and they were not aware of this benefit, within 12 months of that start, they'd be able to actually go in and take advantage of these benefits. So we're trying, and I will be the first to say that we're a relatively new agency. We came around about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And so we are trying to do a better job of interacting with our veteran organizations so that we can make sure this information is out there. And because I know that that's something that might not have happened before. But I included the website that you might be very familiar with the VA that if you click on talks about these benefits. Next slide, please. Just so that you know what this numbers look like, this is your breakdown. So for most apprenticeship programs are about 3 to 4 years long, dependent upon the occupation that's being trained. So a veteran is able to get 100%, up to 100% of their housing allowance for the first 6 months of training, and so on and so forth, as you see. I was talking to one of my colleagues who explained to me that the amount of money this actually comes out to is based on which base is closest to you. And so we don't have a dollar amount here, but it is a very important thing for us to see that within the first year of training, they're getting 80 to 100% of their housing allowance, in addition to new skills and progressive wages. So there's more information on all of that, but I want to put the numbers up there so you could see what I'm talking about in real numbers. Next slide. Last thing I wanted to say before my contact information is, we've noticed that there's a benefit both in general and funding wise, but where do we find GI apprenticeship programs that you can actually look at? So what I included was a link, and I'm sure that Brian will send this out afterwards. And this is something that I have been made aware of. It is managed by the veteran, the VA, but we know that there's a new GI Bill comparison tool where a veteran is able to, or somebody from this group can type in the name of a school or click a search location, and you'll be able to pop up what are different schools or registered apprenticeship programs that are available to that veteran that would have GI benefits associated with it. I will say that we are working closer with our VA regional rep to make sure that all of the registered apprenticeship programs that we service are on this link. The transition from the U.S. Department of Labor to us, has had some kinks in it, but I think this tool, regardless if you weren't aware of it already, would be useful and interesting to just see not only what apprenticeship programs would have that GI benefit, but also any other school programs. Next slide. I think I kept almost to my 10 minutes. Maybe I'm at like 11, but this is my name, phone number, email address, and then our alapprentice.org website. In addition to that VA listing I just showed you for the comparison, our website currently has a map on the front page that lists all registered apprenticeship programs with Alabama. We are working diligently for those programs that came on before we existed to make sure they're registered with the VA, to make sure they're eligible, because we know in and of themselves they are as a registered apprenticeship. But at this moment, it's always good for us to check that one because that listing is the most accurate when it comes to active apprenticeship programs. With that, I know I spoke very quickly and about a lot of things, but Brian, I can either take questions or take questions. If anybody has anything, please let me know.
No, I know. Okay, let's take a couple of brief questions, please. If you're in the room, come up here. We do have a time clock we're watching, but I can promise you right now, we're going to run a few minutes over because we have another brief of interest probably to many of us, as well as Ron's going to tell us about a few benefits, but right now Ron Becker has question. But let's keep it brief, please.
Sure, sir. Yes.
My name is Ron Becker. I'm president of the local Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 416. My question is very simple.
I think it froze when he said my question is very simple. Say that again. I apologize. It just cut out.
Okay.
Try again. Is anyone else getting a freeze on theirs? Or is it just
What's the maximum? Oh, okay. Well,
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. Later.
Okay.
It is freezing. He is freezing, and I'm getting what you're getting.
Okay, sorry about that. If you wanted to put, I'll also put my contact information actually in the chat itself, but please reach out to me. I would love to know whatever that question was, and however I can help. So
He was asking the maximum age that a veteran can be to qualify for the apprenticeship program.
honestly, I don't know of a maximum age. Is that a typical thing when it comes to the GI Bill for a maximum age? I honestly don't know that.
Okay.
Well, as in like, do you
Okay.
know for VA, because for apprenticeship programs, there is no max age. We have a minimum
Okay.
age of 16 or older, but there is no maximum age to join the programs.
No maximum age for the apprenticeship program, but if it is used in conjunction with the GI Bill, there may be some limitations.
That would be on
Any
the
other
VA
quick
side,
questions?
not mine. Yeah, okay, continue.
Right. I understand. Now, real quick, before we get to Karen, there is no reason that a veteran seeking a career cannot get help through the network that we have. Not only do we have this wonderful program, a few months ago, we were briefed on entrepreneurship program. I always have a hard time with that word, but entrepreneurial programs through the Small Business Development Office. Particularly, we were briefed by the one affiliated with the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. We were briefed by the lady that's in charge of, for this area anyway, how to be able to work with the federal government to get contracts for your business. We have our Lawson State, we have University of Montevallo, we have University of Alabama, and every school that I know of has an office of Veterans Affairs, or it's called something similar. You can get help through those offices. They can go to the Career Center in their county, or in some cases adjacent county. You can go directly to employers, and they're legion in number, looking for qualified people who want to work, like Buffalo Rock. There is no reason not to have a job or a career. End of editorial. Thank you for letting me indulge you on that. Karen Giuliano is caregiver of the General Caregiver Program with the Birmingham VA Medical Center, or maybe the official name VA people is Birmingham VA Healthcare System or something like that. Karen, you have the floor, ma'am.
All right, great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I was just going to talk real quick about the Caregiver Support Program. Within the Caregiver Support Program at the Birmingham VA, there are two different main programs, and I'll just talk about those real quick. The first one is the Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, also known as PCAFC. This program expanded in October of 2020, and now it will serve veterans that served before or on May 7th, 1975. So that means that World War II, Korea, and Vietnam veterans are now eligible to apply. And then we're going to expand some more in October of 2022, and we'll make the program eligible to all veterans of all eras. Next slide, please. So to be eligible for the PCAFC program, a veteran has to have a combined or single service connected disability rating of 70% or more. And service connection is not the only qualifying component. Veteran will also need assistance with activities of daily living, such as bathing or dressing or toileting on a consistent basis for at least 6 months. Or they would need supervision, such as a veteran with dementia who's not safe to be at home alone. Next slide, please. Some of the benefits for the PCAFC program is a monthly stipend, counseling, caregiver training, may be eligible for beneficiary travel, CHAMP VA, respite services, and wellness contacts. And also they have recently added some legal services and financial planning assistance. There is an application for the PCAFC program, and it can be found on the VA caregiver website. And I have that further in the slides. But you can apply online, or you can also apply by mailing it. Next slide, please. The General Caregiver Support Program is the program that I work with. It is available to caregivers of all eras, veterans of all eras. And these are just for veterans who need assistance with an activity of daily living, or they need supervision. This program does not offer the financial stipend, but it does offer supportive services for caregivers who are stressed out, or because being a caregiver can be a very taxing job, and sometimes you need some extra support. And that's what the General Caregiver Program is for as well. No application is required for the program, but we do a brief intake with the caregiver. Next slide, please. And here are just some of the support services that are available in the General Caregiver Program. We have a text messaging program called Annie. She'll support self-care things to caregivers. They have protocols for self-care, stress reduction, being a loved one of, taking care of a loved one with dementia. We have Building Better Caregivers, a 6-week online workshop. We have monthly educational calls, and we also have a Caregivers First support group, which is an evidence-based training program for caregivers. And these programs are also available for veterans on the stipend program, the PCAFC program, for caregivers, I'm sorry. Next slide, please. And that was short and sweet. Here's the caregiver website. It has more information about all of the things that I talked about. And there's my contact information as well. Does anyone have any questions?
Aaron briefed us several months ago, but I have encountered at least 3 situations with members of our community who needed information on her program. So I thought it a good idea to bring her back and let her talk about it again. Let me say that contact information for everyone who presents to us is included in newsletters, along with their capacities with their respective employers or nonprofits. So contact information is there. Kristen put it up on a slide. Her slide deck will be attached to the next newsletter, if that's okay with you, Kristen.
Sounds great.
Okay, Bob Horton has a question, sir.
Good morning, Karen. Do you know if this program could apply to a veteran who is caring for a non-veteran spouse? And if not, do you know of any VA programs that would enable a veteran to receive assistance through the VA who is caring for a non-veteran spouse?
Yeah,
Primary caregiver.
so unfortunately, the caregiver has to be caring for a veteran for both of these programs. But if you want to give me a call, we could talk about it a little more in detail, depending on the veteran and what services might be available. But the caregiver support program is for caregivers of veterans. It's unfortunately not the other way around.
Bob said to get to you just a minute, Sissy Louise. Bob said, thank you for that answer. I will add, it's not what he wanted to hear.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Brian, if the service member is post 9/11, then there's a couple groups I could potentially point them to for some help.
Okay, did y'all catch that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I will also say this is being recorded. That prompt was put up early on in the meeting. As soon as we get it converted to YouTube, the video of the meeting will be distributed. If you want to go back and search for particular presentations, you're welcome to do that. Sissy Louise Moore. And your title with ADVA is so long, I'm not going to attempt to repeat it, but please tell us what you do with the ADVA and then your question or comment, please, ma'am.
Okay. I'm the Veterans Wellbeing Program Manager, including programs and issues that veterans have, such as suicide prevention, substance use, and homelessness. But we had a call this morning regarding a veteran who is caring for his wife with dementia. And I was wondering, Julia, if I can call you and talk to you about this also later on, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Did we lose audio?
No. It's just that I'm going to call her to talk to her about it one-on-one. Julia.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you. Ron Becker has a brief summary of a couple of benefits that many veterans may not know about. I also included the multi-page PDF in my last email, Bob, the ADVA publication for state legislated benefits. Yes. If you will look on the Monday newsletter this week below Ron Becker's name, you will see the URL for that PDF if you don't already have it. It is a wealth of information. Published, what, 2 years ago, February of 19, I think, 3 years ago.
We have a more current one. It was just published for 2021.
Would you say, if you, okay, Bob said he has an updated one. He's going to send it to me and I'll push that out. Ron.
Okay.
Again, my name is Ron Becker. I'm president of Chapter 416 Vietnam Veterans of America. And I have a couple of quick things. This is for the veterans. First thing, a veteran that purchases a tag needs to take his letter of eligibility, percentage of disability, to the DMV, and they will take that percentage off his tag, off his ad valorem tax. Okay. Now, it's very important. This is true and accurate because my members have been doing it for years. Another thing is, if a veteran is 100% disabled, they need to go to their local disability and don't have to pay property taxes on their house. Okay. I don't want to confuse you with information, but I'd like to spark a little thought. Another thing is we our chapter's been doing hospitality tables at the VA hospital for years. And we were constantly getting questions. Why wasn't they receiving a compensation or a check for their disability? Because they'd been going to the VA for years, and they were confused about the fact that just because they were going to medical, that they were going to be compensated. Most veterans don't realize that the VA actually has three branches: the health and hospitals, the clinics, the compensation and disability, and the third one, of course, we won't be around to enjoy it, but the cemeteries, the national and state cemeteries. These are things that most veterans are not aware of. For that reason, this booklet, can't see it too well, but this booklet doesn't have an ISBN number. It deals with, it says, welcome to the VA, let's get started. It tells the veteran how to file for their VA health card and a lot of different things like that. The contact at the Birmingham VA to get booklets is John Pinion. John is the outreach coordinator for the Birmingham VA Hospital. His office phone number is 887-5835. They print these at the Birmingham VA. And I would tap dance for you, but he won't let me. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Ron, for that update, and thank you, Bob, for letting us know there is an updated version of this. Okay, okay. Any other questions or comments? Good for the order?
What county is that on 100% property tax? Oh.
Is that in your?
It is.
Okay. That's something that y'all probably need to have available for the veterans you serve. You can push it out in an email to them. Okay, let's, next month, there's been a couple of comments about the VA benefits section of the trifecta of services offered through the Veterans Administration. We will be briefed next month by a knowledgeable representative of the benefits section of the VA. And I apologize if she is on here right now, but I don't recall her name. I've got a distro list of 225 people, so I don't know everybody's name off the top of my head. Thank you so much for joining in today. We did have good attendance at one time. It's fallen off on Zoom now, which happens every month. Thank you so much. If you have no further questions or comments, again, appreciate your attendance. We got a daily double out of Lineville with Kathleen and Dave Flounders on the same Zoom picture. So we stand adjourned. Thank you. We will meet again second Tuesday of February, whatever date that is.